So none of this came through because I have been muted the entire time. Thunder, I'm just going to throw right to that. Pandas, Flames, Champion League, Tropic Division. How are you?
Should I try to recite verbatim what you said while you were muted? I don't know that if I have the capability or the memory to be able to do that. I will say I'm concerned that you gave me an even more fanfare in my caster introduction than you did for the first series. Other than that, we're in pretty good shape. And we have two teams squaring off here that have an identical record, and they're in the same division. So this series, despite it being early season, this is the kind of thing that when you get to the end of the season and you just miss playoff qualification and you're playing a divisional rival, you will regret it being a 3-2 instead of a 4-1 or whatever the case may be, that extra game. These count so much, and especially with a team that you're close with right now. So this series is actually pretty important. I think it's a good way to rebound for one or the other of these teams because they're both sitting at 2-8 record-wise. So this could be the start of a shift towards a better record for one of the other team. And I think they're both hoping it's a more convincing win. They don't want it to be a close series. They want to really crawl their way back closer to 500.
Yeah, this would be a huge moment for them to kind of turn around this season as it's gone so far. You've got a fairly equal setup here between these two teams, and you mentioned it's 2-8. We're only in week 2, so for those of you who are joining us, we have 14 matches across 12 weeks, so we will get double headers. Both these teams have already played their double headers and are now a quote-unquote a week ahead as far as their matches go, which is how we have the scorelines that we do. But there's not a whole lot to say outside of that, as we've mentioned again and again and again, as our standard caster cop-out is it's early season, and we don't have the history with these teams to really lean on. But we do have the players on the field on the side of the Flames. We have Flap, DV2890, and Rob Wob Wob. The side of the Pandas, Cookie Monster, Eagle Fire, and Woozle, ready to get this one kicked off.
And I'll tell you up front, Lars, I'm going to shorten that to Rob right away, and I'm never going to look back because I really don't feel like screwing that name up a whole bunch of times in this series. So Rob hits the kickoff there into the corner. It's going to go into the Pandas zone here. Eagle Fire trying to get it out of the corner. A little bit of a bunch up there. Cookie Monster's coming out of the group ahead with the ball. Eagle Fire testing the net off the top. Not quite heading into the net, though, but this is a hot start for the Pandas, and if you're the Flames, they're stealing a little bit of your namesake on that one. This is a nice push back the other way. Flap now testing the net the other way, and I gotta say, a pretty quick pace as far as starts of series go. You look at the last series that we saw, the Hive and the Eclipse, it wasn't quite as spicy as this one is starting to be.
Yeah, right off the bat, we have a couple of quick back and forths. Cookie Monster off the post, trying to find it. That one's finally in the corner. Eagle Fire will strike first here in this series.
Flap that touch. You could see that the Pandas players started to close in when they realized there wasn't going to be a whole lot of momentum on that defensive clear. And it was well spotted too. They got a great piece of the ball, a pass out into the mid, and a nicely placed shot to finish that one off. So the Pandas have started things off very well for themselves here in this Champ League series, and it's up to the Flames now to answer, and we're still inside the first minute. We're just getting to the end of the opening minute of the series.
Well, you mentioned Flap and the touch that unfortunately yielded a goal for the Pandas, but I am actually fairly familiar with Flap and be looking for them to score some sort of silly goal. It's one of their favorites. And honestly, Flap, I'm calling you out. If you don't, I'm going to be very disappointed as the Flames get some offensive pressure developed here. Good midfield contained. Flap into the backboard. That one will bounce down for Rob to take a shot. Also off the crossbar, but it's got the Pandas scrambling on the goal line. DV2890. Just call him DV. I'm going to join you on the Rob train and just say DV here. Flap takes this one across. Good pressure from the Flames. They just haven't been able to convert yet.
Not yet, but it's nice calculated play that's coming out of the midfield for them. Flap has been leading a charge on a couple of those plays in just playing the control game and not overextending, not handing the ball to the Pandas, but that shot somehow is going to find its way home. It was just a deep one from midfield that was a tough time to deal with for Flap on the back end.
Yeah, I think maybe he thought that one was going to go into the backboard and realized a little bit too late that that's a bar down ski to give the 2-0 lead to the Pandas. Pandas, obviously, if you haven't already realized, in the gray, and the Flames in the orange.
Flames now in their back end yet again here with the Pandas pressuring at the midfield line. Nice challenge there, though, from Flap. Is going to send that goalward. It forces a save out of Cookie Monster. Flap trying to send it mid. Great pass to Rob. But it's defensively stopped out there, and the Pandas have been tested just a couple of times on defense. They have been faring, obviously, very well, though. They've kept a clean sheet. And the only worrisome thing to me, though, is that they're leaving those saves a little bit last minute. They're kind of stacking on the goal line, and they may get punished by that if the Flames can get extended pressure.
Yeah, it's so critical to make your challenge early. Make it at the midfield. Buy yourselves time and space to make plays out of it. And if you allow this team to continue to drive up, it doesn't give you any room to recover any kind of mistake. If you make a mistake in midfield, you've got potential to try to save something here. If you make a mistake on the goal line, that's it. It's done and dusted, and that ball finds the back of the net.
Well, speaking of the back of the net here, it's been a while since either team found one. Bit of a stretch of unbroken play here in the side of the Pandas, as they now try to gather out of their back end. Woozle, a big whiff. Rob, the first player there to threaten, might thread the needle on the shot. Not going to matter, though, as it ended up being enough to set up an opportunity for Flap to get the Flames on the board.
Nice little touch by Rob here to beat out Cookie Monster. That one goes down, and Eagle Fire awkwardly positioned, doesn't get it back. Flap is able to finish that one off and just shove it across the goal line. It's an easy, I mean, come on, you gave him the ball rolling on the goal line.
You know what, Lars? Haven't we all missed those, though? As
yes,
easy as it looks.
Yes.
And I know how close that ball was to the goal line. You might find it hard to believe that anybody could miss that shot, but I know that if only once, at least once, I have done that and somehow found a way to not put that ball into the net. So you can never take for granted an open net opportunity that you have. And the Flames, I think, are very thankful they cut the lead down to 1 because time is ticking on this game. What a shot from Rob, aerially just beating out a couple of defenders to that one and finding it in to tie the game.
As we get inside the 90-second mark here, Rob with an excellent read off that 50. It's an awkward bounce out of the corner, but Rob has it read. They're clearly reading at a collegiate level, putting my first grade reading level to shame here. But that's an excellent play, and now we're tied up within 90 seconds. It's a banger of a matchup already.
It certainly is. And just a quick shout out here as we got to see Rob on the goal replay. I noticed nice fit on the Fennec. I will say that is looking very sharp for this Flames team. So I got to give credit where credit is due on that one. I love that the team colors and the franchise colors are shown off in MLE. And when you combine that with a nice slick looking car, it can be intimidating on the field. Maybe that intimidation factor is leading to the Flames' success, and Flap, okay, I had to pause for a second, is going to find a goal. It was sitting on the goal line for quite a while there, and I had half a mind to say that might find its way back out, but it just stays long enough to go in.
Well, almost. They catch the crossbar and the post, and almost the crossbar for a second time, but eventually, slowly but surely, it trickles its way in. It said 16 miles an hour, but that's total ball speed. I wonder how fast it actually crossed the goal line, because that was an absolute crawler in that kind of vertical development. Now Cookie Monster with a challenge in the corner to clocking down, and the Flames are on offense as the Pandas need a goal to at least force the overtime here. A team bump turns Cookie Monster around, so they elect to go back for boost, turn, find the pinch in the corner. Flap leaves early, but doesn't have boost to get back down to that. Rob into the wall. It's a good center pass. The DB elects not to push that one. Cookie Monster looking for a read. Eagle Fire trying to clean this one up. It's on the back wall. It's awkwardly touched. Flap puts it back down, and Woozle will finish it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have got a game on our hands here. These teams are trading blows at crucial junctures in the game. Flap just ruined Rob's day on that in-and-out save in a very big way and dunked them into oblivion. Unfortunately, the team there is going to set up their own demise in the game being tied with 10 seconds left. Let's see if one of them can find a goal in regulation to put this thing in the books. It's a couple of seconds left here. Ball not going to stay airborne for very long, though. They're going to let that drop, and we're going to see an overtime in the very first game of the series, a lot closer than the last one that we called.
No, we expected an even matchup, and if overtime in game one isn't an even matchup, I'm not really sure what is. DB at the midfield pushes this one in. It's a shot opportunity, but a good stop from Cookie Monster as they pick up a savior medal. Now Flap into the corner is able to get that one center. We've seen the Flames do a good job of getting these balls center in front of the net without a great challenge out of the Pandas defense, but they just don't push it. They're not very eager to try to take advantage of these centers as they develop.
Well, the Flames here trying to do some more setup work as they fire one long downfield. This could be just shot straight in, and it is going to be that ball. Too much pace and height on it for any of the Pandas to be able to handle it on the defensive line. And Rob, with that fabulous looking Fennec, is going to close out game number 1 with an overtime goal at 41 seconds.
Well, despite the Flames doing their best to throw regulation with a double commit on the back wall and Flap with that center pass to finish off, they find a way to win it in overtime. Maybe they just wanted to really sell the storyline. I'm glad they got their scripts in the mail before this week started. But as we look to game number 2, both these teams evenly matched. The Flames, like I said, need to find a way to capitalize on some of these opportunities that they're developing. They're doing such a good job of getting the ball center in front of the net. But then they have these super wide rotations into the defensive end, and they're not pushing these opportunities. With 2 players in the defensive end, you need to have someone coming up to try to slam that ball home.
Very true, and the setup work is super strong from the Flames. They have a lot of great discretion about when to control the ball and progress it down the field rather than just dishing it out and throwing it away on every possession. So they need an equal amount of discretion on the positioning being a little bit more aggressive here, because if they can find that, that game could easily have gone the other way and then some. I really do think that the Flames, for solid stretches of that game, were the better team on the field, but the Pandas got the job done at the end of the day. Oh, wait, I'm completely wrong. Okay, Lars, just fire me. Is there like a form I can sign where we can just... I'm out of here. I can't even call who won game number 1. So just reverse the names on the point I was trying to make. The Pandas looked like the better team on the field for stretches of that game, but the Flames found a way to get the job done. I'm done. Lars, please take over. This has been a wash.
Well, I will. I'm not really the person who accepts those, but I'll be waiting for that resignation letter in the mail so that I can shred it, because who doesn't want to keep Thunder around as we get into game number 2 here? Flap and Eagle Fire on the kickoff, and this will be won by Eagle Fire, who then gets the dunk on Rob to prevent that one from being cleared. And finally, Rob gets redemption by beating out the double commit to get this one deep into Pandas territory. Off the back wall, Woozle sends this one out to the mid where DV is waiting, gets that beat, but gets bumped and will now be with no boost trying to get back into the corner. Coming up on 30 seconds gone, and we've seen a quick back and forth with no real shooting opportunities developing quite yet, but here's an opportunity. Rob with a great pinch to keep that one clear.
Rob has been the standout performer for this Flames team so far in this series. You'd think that's an easy prediction to make with them scoring the game-winning overtime goal, but I really think on both ends of the field they've been performing very well, and this is DV showing up in a big way for the first time in this series for the Flames and getting the opening goal in game number 2.
I think a little bit of a defensive miscue here on the side of the Pandas. They had an opportunity to try to save that one, but a bit of a slow turn, a bit of a slow reaction prevents them from getting the touch on that one. And we'll see the Flames take the lead as that Eagle Fire unfortunately puts that very wide, and they will not see a shooting opportunity develop out of that great positioning option that they had there. TV with a good challenge. This one goes through the mid. Pandas, they're starting to replicate the Flames' success with developing shooting opportunities, but they're also replicating the Flames and not capitalizing on them.
It's true, and this is a game that is again going the way of the... I mean, let me finish my sentence at least, Eagle Fire. I was going to talk about how it's not going your way so far, but they have different ideas about that. And if anybody's wondering why I literally could not contain my laughter after the last goal was scored, it's entirely unprofessional for me to mention that at this point, but the goal explosion where the birds come flying out, for some reason, I have never seen the bird fly directly at the camera that is watching the goal replay, and for some stupid reason that cracked me up, and there you go. That's my explanation of why I was laughing. Oh boy, the Flames, oh my goodness, they're so close. Rob is finally going to close this one out and add to their already impressive resume in this series by getting the lead back to the Flames.
Well, here's the reality. If you take enough shots, you can see the scramble it puts the Pandas into as they dive across the net trying to get that one clear. And eventually, it leaves nobody home, and Rob is able to turn and just touch that one close. And I will heed your warning from last time and not say that it's an easy kind of point-blank shot, because you're absolutely right. We have missed those enough times to know that it's not a sure thing.
Well, it's looking more and more like a sure thing that the Flames want to take game number 2 for themselves, because this level of control that they're exerting on the ball in a lot of instances is almost going to make me ruin my point as the Pandas try to score another goal to shut me up for a moment. They don't find the net on that one, and it's Woozle now pushing back into the zone. That's a good answer from Flap into the mid. The whiff, it might work out in the favor of the Flames here, but the shot didn't have enough venom on it. And the Pandas are holding on here at the halfway mark of the game. They could easily tie this thing up, and I think they very dearly want to, because going down 2-0 in this relatively short set is not the way that they want to get the ball rolling here, not at all.
Yeah, the Flames only have a 1-goal lead, and I oftentimes say that a 2-goal lead isn't enough. It's not comfortable enough, because it can become a 1-goal lead. The implication being a 1-goal lead is just not a comfort zone you need to be in, as Rob throws one down, but it's touched away. A very patient Eagle Fire is able to keep that one clear, though not able to clear the zone just yet. Woozle misses this touch off the wall. Flap wins that 50, and we see this pressure. I guess it's not a ton of pressure. They just can't quite get the ball clear. Rob misses the double. DV with the follow-through, and Woozle with the save.
Pandas are playing with fire. Oh my god. Seriously, that's no pun intended on that. I'm not kidding. I was not trying to make a pun, but the Pandas are playing with fire.
Reconsidering my stance on your letter of
resignation. Yeah, you might not want to shred that so quickly. Hang on to it for a while and think on it. Sleep on whether you're going to let me continue to cast in this league. Anyway, there have been risks taken, and the Pandas almost... Oh my god, I was going to say they almost got burned for it. This is ridiculous at this point. Just take over. I am literally unintentionally making pun after pun, and I have to stop myself from doing it, because there's some, you have to have a bit of class in this industry, and right now I can't even have that.
I kind of want you to just continue solo casting. I wonder just how many. Does anyone have a counter running for Thunder's puns over here? We'll start Thunder's pun counter in the corner. Flap sends this one down. Well, the good news is when Flap goes back and watches this cast, he is going to absolutely love what you have done here. It is one of their favorite things, but winning games is another favorite of theirs, and that's not a great way to do it. Cookie Monster finds the corner.
A very sincere apology here for missing a wide swath of the actual commentary on the game because of my stupidity. And let's get back to the action here. This is a tied game now, again, inside the final minute of the game between the Pandas and Flames. These two teams are so narrowly matched with one another, and it's going to be close. Is the save going to come through? Oh, Flap was so very close to finding that save, but it's the Pandas this time that are going to gain the advantage late in game number 2.
Cookie Monster, a hero for the Pandas right now, getting this turned from a 1-goal deficit to a 1-goal lead in very short order. 37 seconds remain in game number 2 here as the Pandas look to even up the series.
Rob with some control in the air, not a lot of boost to work with here. Has to kick it off the side wall, and it's nicely collected there by DV. Out of the corner, the pinch, past a Panda. Oh, just flies off the back wall. There's one more Flame to put a shot on target, and DV is going to tie it back up. My goodness, neither team wants to let this thing get away. They want to send it to another overtime at this rate.
Did we not cue into a match and just watch a replay of game number 1, as we are now tied 3-3 with just a few seconds left on the clock? We've been here before, and we know how it ended the first time, but a sample size of 1 isn't exactly the most scientifically robust sample size. DV throws this one down towards the net. 10 seconds remain. Woozle looking to keep this one up. It will be Rob who gets the touch to keep that one up. Now through the corner, Flap collects. It loses this 50 to Eagle Fire, but they can't keep this. We are now overtime for the second time in a row.
Lars, the only clues that I'm working with to know that this isn't just a replay of the same game are that it's on Neo Tokyo, and that Flap didn't dunk the daylights out of Rob coming out of a squishy save out of their net. That's all I've got to work with. So I know it's a different game, but it's looking eerily similar here as we're in a 3-3 overtime. But I think the Pandas are hoping it's going to end a little bit differently. Not at this rate. That is a very risky reverse play there from, I believe, Cookie Monster. But the Pandas get out unscathed, and they're down back the other way, if only for a moment. Flap sends downfield, doesn't get the dunk. Rob getting challenged out to the side at the midfield. Here's Woozle off the sidewall. Delays the flip a little bit. That's a pass center. Eagle Fire on target. And the Pandas are going to tie up this series. And what a series this is turning out to be.
Oh, this is a beautiful pass from Woozle into that back wall, and it's read just perfectly by Eagle Fire to tuck it in with a nice little kiss on the forehead to boot to finish that one off, and that ball is asleep at home in the Flames' net.
My goodness, these teams so unwilling to let a lead get too far away. There have been rarely 2-goal leads in these, despite 6 and I guess 7 goals being scored in both games. It's so resilient from both teams not to let the margin get too wide and to keep things close. That's what's given us a couple of overtimes, a couple of electric finishes to the games. And this, it would not be a wild prediction, I don't think, to say that this could really go the distance and have Game 5 decide it.
I do want to point out, as I've done several times before, if you are just joining us, we are going to see Game 5 regardless of the outcome of the next 2 games. But I'm with you, Thunder. This is anybody's series. These teams, we predicted it was going to be close. We had that confirmed with Game 1 going to overtime. And then Game 2 goes to overtime, and it's won by the other team as the Pandas tie up the series 1-1. If we don't see a Game 5 decider, that is an absolute crime. The unfortunate thing for these two teams, though, is being this close, edging out a huge swing on your score lines and really padding out those stats, trying to get back to that 500 score line is going to be extremely difficult. This will, I don't want to say more than likely, but it is a very solid chance of ending in a 3-2, which isn't exactly what either of these teams need. Yes, I'll take the 3 over the 2 any day of the week, but you really need to get a 4-1 at this point.
What's going to do is keep the divisional race between these two teams very close, and it's just going to apply a little bit more pressure in the mid-season for them to be taking games, and game wins are going to become more and more important if these teams do stay close. So this game is going to lead us in a direction where we'll see whether one of these teams could earn a 4-1 for themselves or not. Are we going to see a convincing win from either side that really shows a team take control of a game? Because we have not seen... Oh my goodness! Woozle, that shot was nuts.
Look at this speed, this power, this accuracy. They even got a little bit of freestyle on their way up to it, but 70 miles an hour from on high, an absolute clanger down into the net. And what a way to take that win from game number 2 and roll that momentum straight into game 3.
And what a way to let us plug play of the week. If you would like that play, as I'm interrupted by Rob scoring for the Flames and tying the game up here, if you want to see that play nominated for a play of the week, as we do that every single week here with the broadcasted MLE matches, clip it, ship it, hashtag it, and either send it on Twitch or on the MLE server with the hashtag POTW, and you may just see that play in a compilation of other fantastic ones from the broadcast. And boy, was that a fantastic one. What a way to start for the Pandas. What an answer in turn from the Flames. And I got to say, Lars, I'm not really shocked to see the Flames tie the game after the other team gets a lead, because that's just been the rhythm of the series.
Yeah, this is just kind of how it goes. Neither of these teams can really eke out a huge lead that they can be very comfortable with. As there's another shot from Rob. It's played down by Eagle, just barely in flap with the finish on the goal line.
Oh, it was such a difficult situation forced out there. Eagle Fire had to make a guess on where that shot was going to go, and not just the line, but how high it was going to be. They guessed just a little bit too high, and so the save got stopped out underneath their car, and it just couldn't quite get out of the shooting lane before a Flame dived onto it. So they grabbed themselves a 2-0 lead. And Pandas are now under a little bit of pressure that, I mean, if the earlier parts of this series have been any indication, I get the sense they're going to answer, at least try to. But we could also, in turn, see one of the two-goal leads here for the first time in the series, or for a very rare occasion in this series. And that could be the sign of that game that I was talking about, the first convincing win for either team. The Flames want to be that team right now.
Especially as they need the momentum shift after losing that last game. I'd love to see these teams continue to go back and forth. Cookie Monster clearing this one back downfield. DV keeps that one clear of that front shooting lane. And Eagle Fire more than happy to bang that off the back wall. Woozle elects to play this one patiently and play the control game back into the corner. Something a lot of people seem to forget about Rocket League is it's not blindly pushing the ball towards the opponent's net. It is critical to play the control game and wait for your opportunity, and I like to see the Pandas doing exactly that.
Well, this could be that opportunity. Eagle Fire dives in but is beaten out to by DV there. This spits back toward the flank. Huge miss there. Had to be bailed out by DV again with the defensive end, but they're not out of the woods yet. A shot on target saved away by Rob. Eagle Fire sends it back into the zone. This likely not shootable. Woozle's going to give it a shot anyway and dive in on that one. Flip to the mid. Rob. But not as the shot is not going to get on. And the pace here, picking up in the second half of the game. The Pandas, they're pressuring, but the Flames are answering as well. Flames might be in trouble, but the touch actually goes backwards. And Lars, you said it doesn't always have to be forward, but that was one of the times we would have liked to see the ball go towards the net.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be forward. Implies that there is an alternative where it does have to be forward. And on the goal line, you really need that ball to be going forward into your opponent's net. The Pandas, unfortunately, will not tie it up, but they do have plenty of time. 1 goal in 2 minutes, very doable. We did see, Cookie Monster score 2 within 5 seconds of each other late in that last game to force the overtime. Rob losing this challenge here as Eagle sends it into the corner. DV with the miss, and Flap with no boost doesn't get pushed. And it's a critical error on the side of the Pandas for not trying to keep pressure down the field. Flap was in no position to try to take a challenge here. Rob trying to get this one past Woozle. Does not bait out. Flip in the wrong direction. Rob throwing this one back into the corner. Great control play recognition, but Eagle Fire is very quick to make that challenge. Both these teams getting good midfield challenges as well as keeping it clear the front of the net. Oh boy, almost the Flames finishing that one off.
Almost, and I have to say the Pandas' spacing has looked hesitant. They have not had that third player pressure to reapply, contain at the midfield, and to get those last-ditch scoring opportunities. There is an opportunity jumped upon by Eagle Fire, who threads the needle on the shot, and wouldn't you know it, the Pandas tie the game inside the final minute.
I need to be very careful about how I react to some of these tying goals because it's great. I love it. I love to see it. It's a lot of fun, and it's been so exciting. You never know. You truly have no idea how this series is going to end, even how the game is going to end as they're so back and forth. But now, Pandas have a huge opportunity. Rob able to touch that one away, and the diving save. Woozle off the crossbar. Eagle Fire, oh my goodness, just barely touched away. And there it is. Eagle Fire cycles back through to finish it off.
How did Rob save this ball on the goal line? Look at that effort. And it unfortunately does not end up paying off in the long run. Rob nearly recovered and got another save out of the back of the net. But what determination here from the Pandas. This is even more a carbon copy of the last game than Game 2 was of Game 1. So now, if they follow the script, this game is going to get tied by the Flames and we're going to go to overtime. And if they don't, we're going to see the first different score line in a game in this entire series so far. My goodness, has it been close between the Pandas and the Flames. They are showing just how bitter divisional rivals they are.
You know what's crazy is if the Flames tie, not only will it be another overtime, but it'll be another overtime on a 3-3 scoreline. But with only 6 seconds remaining, they need to score now to make that happen. Flap in to the mid. DV tries to cut it off. There's no time left on the clock. If this touches the ground, the Pandas secure this victory. Rob doesn't get there in time, and the Pandas take Game 3 and the first not overtime victory we have seen between these combinations.
Hard to believe, to be honest, because all of the setups were there. Both the teams followed the instructions very neatly. The Pandas go ahead at the late stage of the game. They're up by 3-2, so it can be a 3-3. I mean, all the parts were there. They just, for some reason, that final attack didn't come through. And the script is going to get flipped.
We'll have a talk with them later.
It's true. We'll have them in contact with the admin team because we're trying to run a very tight ship here, and they're upsetting that apple cart as I mix metaphors. But this is now, again, it wasn't the convincing win that I looked for from either team here that would show dominance for the first time. It was yet another close game here. We're no closer to seeing who might be the victor as it gets down the stretch in this series. But one thing we know for sure is, as far as series wins are concerned, the Pandas are the first with an opportunity to close this thing out and be, of the two teams, a little bit closer to that 500 record that they want to chase so dearly.
This is now, do or die is the wrong term, but this is now the Pandas series to lose. They're in a good position here to put themselves towards that 4-1 victory that both of these teams so desperately want. The Flames, on the other hand, need to finish out this series incredibly strongly just to eke out one game towards leveling their score line so far this season. But as we get into game number 4, excuse me. The caster map is hard. We can't even count. Wow. As we get into game number 4, the Flames will find the first offensive advantage.
Only for a moment, though, here as the Pandas are going to clear into the corner and get a little bit of possession for themselves. Woozle lacking in boost there to make an effective play is going to leave it for Eagle Fire. This is looking uncomfortable on the back end, but the clear does come through from DV and the Flames. Rob now controlling, grabbing the boost out of the corner, gets one defender to dive in on that one, gets another, but that one a little bit more successful as now it's Eagle Fire back the other way, and a lot of grounded challenges here are defining this early game. You almost get the sense that if one of these challenges gets won a little bit more convincingly, these teams are going to dive on a scoring opportunity and break the deadlock.
Yeah, very back and forth, but like you said, grounded, the word of choice, because this is about the first time we've seen this play actually go high, and it's kind of atypical. We've seen these players very eager to get up to the ball quickly, and I think the ground game, it's an interesting change of play style, but I don't hate it. It cues into maybe a little bit more of an interest in control and trying to keep the ball close and really looking for a more methodical approach to how these teams get up and down the field.
Big chance for the Flames here. A shot high and left is saved away there by Eagle Fire. That's nicely saved away too. That shot had some pace on it and good placement as well. Rob sends it to the opposite side. No Flame waiting there to receive, and it's going to be in the hands of Eagle Fire now. The dunk, not successful for Flap, leaves DV alone for a moment in the corner. Shot off the post. Where's the answer from the Pandas? Not quite there as it dances tantalizingly close to that post, but not in the shooting lane. And the Pandas of the two teams, I think, on that play are the ones to get just a little bit closer to finding that opening goal.
I really like Eagle Fire trying to get back to that one as all three Pandas players stack up at the midfield. It's a dangerous position to be, but Panda Fire had no boost and kind of low odds of getting back to that ball, but they recognize, hey, this is threes, and in threes, when it's your time to go for the ball, it's your time to go for the ball, regardless of how much boost you have. That one's towards the net, but Cookie Monster, a good rotation back. This one's playing all the way down. Flap, also a good rotation back, takes away any kind of shooting opportunity that they have developing there. It's a critical error you see a lot of the time is when a player is out of boost, they say, okay, well, someone else can handle this, I'm going to leave. But the Panda's doing well so far to continue pressure on field as Flap gets a huge save on a beautiful little shooting opportunity.
That was a sick read from Flap on an attempt for a negative angle redirect outside the post from Woozle. That would have been, I think, two candidates for play of the week from the same player inside the same series, which you do not see very often, but that redirect had all the makings of something pretty special. We might be getting another one here, but Woozle instead playing defender a little bit for that one. And this is looking different than every game we've seen in the series so far. This is a chess match that is a stalemate between these two teams, trying to decide whether it's going to be the Pandas closing this thing out and winning this series, leaving only one game to be recuperated, or are we going to be headed to a decisive Game 5? We're getting into the territory at a minute and a half where it could be golden goal.
My working theory is since they broke the script in the last game, not going to the 3-3 overtime, now they're kind of stalling on this 0-0 scoreline, waiting for what is the new plan, what happens next. No, it's just an even team. It's such an even matchup, and this is what makes MLE so great, is the things that we can bring as a community. As Eagle Fire will try to get this one clear, passes that up to Woozle, who doesn't find a great touch. Flap contains this one in the gray end of the field. DV into the corner looking for the double touch, but doesn't have it, doesn't matter. Flap with the read, and now we have the first lead of Game 4.
Right cleanly on that minute mark, Flap is going to get the goal here for the Flames. Not golden goal, as I said. This is silver goal territory here with 1/5 of the game remaining for the Pandas to get this back. We know that both the Pandas and the Flames are highly capable of leveling the game in a pressure situation. They've both done it in this series. And now it's up to the Pandas here to shake off some of their mascots' laziness on the field and get down to business here and trying and tying this game. That's a scoring opportunity that will not come to fruition. Nice touch to thread the needle by Rob downfield as well. Eagle Fire out of the corner. Just weaves their way along the wall. Past Rob. Flap. Touching to the mid. DV, great speed to be the first player to that ball. That could prove to be a game-winning play. Now that we're down to just the final 20 seconds or so along the sidewall. DV trying to pass to the mid. Rob is in the back end, just waiting with bated breath to keep the control on for the Flames here. They've been doing a fantastic job of possession, and here's the final play. Pandas coming down the field. 6 seconds left. Tap. DV doesn't have the handle. Rob does, though. Eagle Fire launches downfield. Woozle is up. Redirect off the crossbar, and the follow-up is there. My goodness, that could have been a ridiculous close of the series win for the Pandas, but this one, as we may have, is going to go to a decider.
Well, one more second on the clock, and we could be sitting in overtime right now, as they did have that last player charging upfield to try to get the follow. But I do feel obligated to point out we are going to see a Game 5 decider between these two teams with a, guess what, 0 goal differential. Both of them exactly on par with each other so far in this series. So, place your bets now. I hope we have channel point predictions, because place your bets now. This is anybody's series. Flames, Pandas, 2 even to call.
Yeah, this, I think, I don't have a perfect memory, but I would hazard a guess that this is the closest series I may ever have casted on an MLE broadcast. You talked about how the goal differential doesn't exist. It's not a differential, it's just a flat surface. That's it. And it's not just that, though. It's not that we've seen the teams score the same amount of goals, but one team looking like the better team on the field. It's so back and forth. There's so many great notes from each team coming in turn. I think the Pandas have a little bit more flash and kind of aerial tilt to their game, and they have a lot of skill in Woozle up front, who has been waiting on several occasions downfield for some redirects. So that's going to be the difference maker on their offense. If they can find some of those shots home, Woozle could be the one to elevate the Pandas here. And meanwhile, if it's the Flames and they just keep playing that patient control game that they've been doing all series long, it could just as easily be them. And I love that I have no idea who is going to win this game.
Well, the only way to find out, I'm a little ahead of myself.
Accurate.
I was going to say,
accurate.
is to play the 5 minutes on the clock, but the only way to find out is to play the 5 minutes on the clock, and here we are already 23. Jeez, Pete. It's been a long day, Thunder. It's been a long series, a fun series. I have had an absolute awesome time as Cookie Monster doesn't find it. It doesn't matter. Woozle will clean it up.
I borderline want to kind of coin a phrase here. It's so tacky, but I want to do it anyway, that if it goes to a Game 5 deciding game, we're going to say that we don't know who's won the series yet, but we're going to 5 out. It's not the worst thing in the world. I think it has some merit, so we'll leave that to the audience whether they can get on board with that or not. In the meantime, though, look, the game got tied. The Pandas scored, and then the Flames scored, and we're inside the final minute, and at this rate, we're just going to be headed to another overtime.
I'm sorry, Thunder. I didn't see that one with my head in my hands as this goal was scored.
Yeah.
Jeez. I don't have my shredder handy, but I think it's going to go ahead and stay put away for now. Okay. Flap plays this one downfield, and we see the back and forth. Less than a minute gone. We're already tied between this team, 1 goal apiece. Between these teams. DV collects this one at midfield, unpressured, unchallenged. Woozle finally comes up to make a challenge on this one. Eagle Fire sends this one clear. A little bit of a bang and clear. Not a lot of purpose in that touch. You got to be careful with those, especially with the way the Flames play the midfield defense. You can't just throw it out. You need to have a plan whenever you try to make a transition clear of your zone.
Rob in the corner now is pressuring the net, getting all 3 players to bite on that play a little bit. Flap available for a shot in the mid, saved away though by Eagle Fire. Now Cookie Monster on the side wall. Lots of boost to work with. Good setup touch for a ceiling shot. Goes down low. Woozle tries to tap it goalward. Gets a double, but sends it wide. And the aerial control here, the flash and flare on the play continuing for the Pandas as they try to get back ahead in this deciding game number 5 in the series. We've had 2 overtimes, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. And I think of all the overtimes you want to see as a spectator, caster, maybe a player if you really love pressure, but you want to see a game 5 overtime. And we're just approaching the halfway mark of the game with, again, these teams trading blows here. That's a weak touch, though, in the middle that could open up the door for the Flames to head downfield. Not into the mid. This is dangerous here for a moment, but corralled by the Flames, and it's so often the case. You pointed to that too, how the midfield pressure is good from the Flames. They are very often the ones, when the ball is left unattended in the midfield, they're the ones to grab possession of it and try to push.
Well, there was an opportunity for Rob, just doesn't quite find the read off the back wall. Now through the corner, Eagle Fire plays this one off the wall, has a shooting opportunity. Flap, a little bit of an awkward turn, doesn't get there. This one's loose in front of the net. They don't quite find the touch. And finally, this is clear. Rob chases this down into the corner, played first by Woozle. DV picks this one up. That's out to Flap, who throws this one back down into the corner for DV. It'll be Flap again to collect and try to get this one in front of the net. As we get to the 2-minute mark, this one sails all the way from the back wall, and Flap is able to scramble back and get the save, but it's not enough. Oh, but Rob does have it. Oh, we're too close. I hop on the mic, and the action, it just doesn't slow down. I'd love to talk about what the advantage is, but oh well, it happens. Flap in the corner as DV picks this one up. Cookie Monster throws it towards the net. Pandas finally starting to find some of their own midfield challenges. They don't quite get the capitalization on it, but they are preventing the Flames from making any kind of quick transition downfield.
But I gotta say, there were not one but 2 not like this moments that the Flames had a ball flying just kind of unmarked at their net, and they had defenders that had to dive in at the last moment just to make the save. Speaking of diving in, though, Flap almost makes a very sweet read on the backboard bounce there. Rob with a chance shoots it wide. Flap now off the sidewall, gets a high touch, headed towards the net. Uncomfortable on defense are the Pandas a little bit there, and DV's going to keep the pressure on. Booming clear all the way downfield. No Woozle there to answer on that one, though, and that's been, as I said, a real marker for success for this team, is Woozle being that aggressively positioned player upfield waiting for the banger clears. Cookie Monster on the side wall, trying to touch that up into the zone. Rob with a decent challenge to get it out, and a good solid dunk there as well. Eagle Fire, an unexpected extra touch. The ball just ping-ponging towards that side wall here. We are inside the final 30 seconds of the decisive game number 5 in this series. And let's see if there's going to be a regulation hero for one of these 2 teams, the Pandas and the Flames, the Tropic Division rivals. Lars, give me the last 10 seconds, my friend. It's going to be hot.
Rob through the midfield, takes this one up into the corner, plays that double off the wall. Cookie Monster reads it perfectly. Now DV gets the challenge, tries to get this one mid, misses the touch, collects the boost in the corner. Flap will challenge, elects to let this one drop, but Cookie Monster says no. Woozle tries to get that one in front of the net, and now DV will finally kill it to give us overtime in the Game 5 decider.
Yeah, baby. This is exactly what... Oh, no. Not like this. Not like this. It's too soon.
This is... Oh, wait, no.
I was going to do a whole bombastic introduction, and they were going to cut it off and end it with a kickoff goal. But thankfully, for the sake of the excitement here, it didn't come to fruition. The Pandas, I can assure you, dearly wanted that one. They dearly did not want to pinch that into their own net on defense, and you can see the nerves on the field. You could already see them in regulation, but that is only going to be compounded by this extra time golden goal situation here. The Flames testing the net. That's a whiff that Woozle thankfully was prepared for. Goes full aerial. Might have a final touch there. Rob saves it away into the corner. Touches mid. DV waiting. Shot on target. Saved away by Cookie Monster. The answer comes from Rob. It's on target, and another save from the Pandas. They're the first to be majorly tested in overtime.
Well, finally a good shooting opportunity, but the Pandas' defense is so solid. They've got 7 saves right now in this series on 8 shots out of the Flames, but it's that one critical one that made its way through. On the flip side, Flames have only picked up 3 saves on 5 shots from the Pandas. Pandas not quite getting the offensive pressure that they need, but they also aren't really having the shot accuracy that they need to take advantage of the opportunities when they arise. Rob lets this one in the corner, tries to play it out. Woozle should have an opportunity to collect it. Flap challenges quickly. Now off the sidewall, pre-flips to get there, but Cookie Monster is just a little bit faster. Rob played over the top, DV into the corner, and I'm sorry, Thunder, for cutting you off. Go ahead.
No problem. I was just going to say, and it was something I was spotting kind of in the mid-game, that there are some very nervy challenges going on the ball where just these little minute things in the way the car moves, the shakiness on the takeoffs, that kind of stuff where you can see and they know the weight of the challenge that they're going for. If it's risky enough, that's the type of challenge that if you miss, it is a guaranteed win for the other team. That was almost a win for the Pandas here as Eagle Fire looked for the Doomsy dish. Not going to work out there. A huge demo is going to open up the net. Flap's going to follow in, and he does it! The save attempt not coming through from the Pandas, and Flap is going to be the Flames' hero to win this series in overtime.
Oh, wow. 2 minutes and 9 seconds of overtime to decide this Pandas Flames series, and what a way to end the night. You could not ask for a better matchup to close out our MLE stream here on this beautiful Saturday night. But at the end of the day, the Flames walk away with the victory. Not exactly what either of these teams wanted. Both teams wanted to get a huge victory here to try to get this one evened up. But at the end of the day, we're all here to have fun. And even as a player, not a lot of things more fun than this kind of series. I've had fun. I know the players have had fun. I hope our viewers have had fun. I'm not going to say I hope. I know that our viewers have had fun as well. But unfortunately, that does it here. Any last thoughts, questions, concerns, comments, hopes, and or dreams? And I want to at least hear dreams out of you this time, Thunder.
You want to hear dreams? It's funny you mentioned that. I had a super weird dream last night. It was some weird amalgam of a battle royale and Mad Max, but it was with my friends. You don't want to hear about that stuff. You want to hear about the fact that I think all the players on the field there, and you can see it a little bit too if you look at the back and forth in the quick chat after the game. Everybody loves being a part of a series like that, and it stings to lose by just a single goal, to have overtime decide it. But it's such a great thing to be a part of a series like that. And it's just like a big thanks to both of the teams for giving us a ridiculous show this series between the Pandas and Flames. And that's the kind of thing where you're going to hope you see these teams meet up in playoffs, because if they can deliver a series like this early in the season, they've got the caliber where they can put on a serious show when the pressure is even higher.
Oh, the mental fortitude, so strong with these teams. The back and forth. It's just exhausting to play a series like that. It can be heartbreaking. But at the end of the day, the goal differential on this series, 1 to the Flames. And it's that one goal that is the difference maker between series victor and series loser. But that being said, that is it for us here on this Saturday night. Before you go, if you want to be part of this minor league esports community, head on over to MLE Sports. MLE Sports GG. Oh, my goodness. One more try, and then I'm going to give up, and I'm going to have Thunder close us out. Head on over to mlesports.gg/apply to apply for this community. We have a competitive atmosphere for everyone, all the way from Bronze 1, literally up to the only requirement being you are not a pro actively playing in RLCS right now. So make sure you head on over to mlesports.gg/apply. Also on the MLE Sports website, we have articles, stats, power rankings, and merch. Make sure you hit all of that up, and we would love to see you here in this community. Make sure you love the people that love us, Balls, Guarana, APM Music, and all of our other fantastic sponsors who you can find over on mlesports.gg. But that does it for us here. This has been Thunder. I have been Lars Newt. Thank you for stopping by, and we will see you for more minor league sports action tomorrow.